Respect the place that you call home. Respect the land in which you roam. Respect the country you were born. Let's take it back. Respect reform. Hold on to freedom, hold on to hope. Don't give them slack, don't give them rope. Don't walk and hang your head in shame. Be proud, stand tall, and we will reign.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 46 of A Conversation with Neil Stevens. And don't forget, Exeter needs change, okay? And tonight, we've got 3 county councilors that are going to deliver that change. And so here we go. I'll introduce the first one.
Yep, Neil Stevens, councillor for Alfredton and Cowick District.
Thank you very much. And person to his right.
Hi everybody, Nat Vanstone, County Councillor for the Brookclist area.
Thank you, Nat. And how
Oh,
about
and
you?
I'm Tony Stevens, County Councillor for St Thomas and Exwick.
Okay, my name is Rob Sheridan, and I was the unfortunate one to have been asked to get these people elected last January. And not only did we do that, Neil, Tony, and Nat, but we got a total of 5 councillors elected in Exeter, didn't we? And I'm not going to hit the applause button because it speaks with no, everybody knows that. Okay, so here we go. Neil, what is the topic tonight?
Okay, so we put a feeler out to everybody regarding what you want to discuss, and we're looking at parking chaos. So since we've been councillors, I've had numerous emails, numerous photographs of people parking very inconsiderately. We've got blocked roads, driveways, we've got car parks under pressure, and we're also going to talk about public toilets disappearing. So all these are messages Tony, myself, and Nat get over the year.
Okay, fabulous, Neil. And okay, so Tony, tell us a little bit about what this podcast is all about, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The podcast is about the community. So just get involved tonight. Get in touch. Message us directly through this page. Comment during the live. Share your experience and concerns. As we said, we are live, so hopefully we'll be able to answer your queries.
Okay, that's awesome, Tony. Now, how do people get in touch? Nat, can you explain that a little bit?
Well, ultimately, your voice matters, and you can get it, and that's what it's all about. We need a conversation with you, and your input. You can watch it on Facebook or YouTube. You can. And we want to hear from you, basically. Hear from you. There's no excuse. I can hear the rain outside, so you're not going to be down the beach.
How can you
so
hear the rain? We're on an underground secret
Oh, yeah,
podcast.
sorry.
Well, I can see the rain flowing down the steps. And this is your platform to have your say in what matters to you in your areas.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, guys, what have you been doing this week? You've been doing anything?
Right, very interesting. No, I'm going to do one subject, pass it on to the next, and because I could go and tell loads of things. So yesterday, I'm going to go a little bit from yesterday. I had a constituent get hold of me yesterday, and I'm going to follow this through, and she's going to come on the show in 2 weeks' time. And I'll just tell you the story, which she's put to me to come across. It was a petition she's doing with the government. Now, let's put it in this system. Now, I'm neutral. She's got a young child who's 5 years old. He's been diagnosed with some form of illness. She has gone in and did the medical tests and gave blood. The father pays maintenance, but the father was asked to give blood in order to find out what is wrong with this child, in order to help this child in future diagnosis and all that. But the father refused. And then she realised there's no court in the land can make that person have a blood test. Okay, understand that everybody's privacy is their privacy. But her petition, which I did sign, because to me, children come first. As a parent, you have responsibility. So what I'm doing is I've invited her on. Hopefully she will come on in 2 weeks' time to explain what it's all about. So basically, this child needs the proper diagnosis, but one of the parents legally doesn't have to give blood. And yeah, to me, it just seems wrong where it's not about the parents, it's about the children. That's one of my things I've done this week. Nat?
Well, the same with you, same with me, really, Neil. There's a lot going on. One particular issue that was brought up last week was regards to fly tipping. So I had a phone call on Monday, and we've set the wheels in motion there. I handed it to a lady at East Devon District Council, so she has got that in hand. I'm beginning to now follow up, like as I've said, a lot of follow-ups regards winter issues, and I'm starting to dig into a bit more regards waste and stuff being sort of the waste that's going on in Devon, and where we could possibly look and save money in the future.
Is that domestic waste?
No, sorry, I'm just spending, just.
Oh, I see. Okay,
You know,
I
like,
didn't mean to.
One example.
It wasn't a joke, by
There's
the
a
way.
lot of signage. You know, like road close signs, this, that, and the other. I've noticed started growing into hedges. This is all. So I've been and looked at some of these signs, lifted them up. The company's on the back of them. Who it belongs to.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that Devon County Council give these firms the contract. But if they can afford to let these signs rot into a hedge or get knocked over, smashed up by cars going by or whatever.
Really?
Well, but ultimately there's enough room. So how much are these firms being paid? And that's all ultimately our tax-paying money going towards that. So if there's room in the budget for that, then I feel like things could be a bit tighter and trimmed up and run probably a lot sweeter.
Thank you, Nat. Well, what do you mean by the firms that run that?
Well,
explain that a little bit?
contracted firms to do the work for Devon County Council. So, i.e., traffic management company.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, this might be off-piste a little bit, but it's related to signage anyway. But if anybody ever goes along the River X roundabout, probably about 20,000 cars a day, on the north side, there's a sign that's been down for about a year, and anyway, it's been reported infinite number of times, and it's still down. I think you're exactly right. The overall situation really needs to be looked at, right?
Yeah, and not just that. That's just one issue, and so many emails and stuff that we're involved with other than that. But something else I picked up on this week, I had a little drive and a walk round my area, and the National Trust seem to have many empty residential properties. And to me, we're being force-fed that we have a housing crisis. Well, there's a lot of empty homes that local people would give their right arm for to live in. And I've seen a lot of money go, government money go National Trust way, which will go down on another night. But this as a national charity or the National Trust, they've got this accommodation, and we've got people that can't get homes locally. So it's something that really needs to be looked into.
Yeah. And we're going to push that forward, aren't you?
Yeah.
Tony.
Right. It's been I don't say it's been a slow week for me. For local wise, it's just silly things like getting a bin replaced, reporting faded markings, and Swan Yard. Somebody's brought up some queries about that. One of the good things is we belong on a committee called the Hills Trust, and one of the local charities needed £2,000 to finish their fundraising to get a minibus. And I'm glad to say they've now got the minibus, which they use to move children around during the school holidays for sports events, taking them football and stuff like that. So that was good to see.
Tony, tell them about the Hills Trust, where I managed to secure £14,700 for
Neil,
17 taxi. not taxis, sorry.
Taxis.
Neil,
17 computers for a SEND school at the top of.
yeah, at the top of Dunsford Hill in Barley Farm Road. They also got money out of the Hills Trust
Yeah.
for 14 top of the range computers or laptops.
No, 17 actually.
17 now. It's gone up, isn't it?
Yeah, so
So
17.
yeah, they'll have all that for the children or for the teachers. Sorry, to sort of teach the children more up to date things.
The reason I brought this up, guys, is because I'm just rubbing it in that I've got Alphington School. I managed to secure 12,500 for a play area. I've just secured for not St Thomas High School. What's it called? The new school.
West
X. I always think of St Thomas. I managed to secure them £9,000 for extra tools. The SEND school, yeah, it's been a really interesting. And now we're
It's
looking
been an
at,
interesting year because
it's
nobody. We would never have known that this committee or
Right.
this thing exists.
My turn now to speak. So interesting. Also, I was approached by a group called Rediscover Church. Rediscover Church. Now, I go to St Michael's Church in Alphington, and I really enjoy that. And it's a really family orientated church, and children. My granddaughter goes there, really love it. But Rediscover Church, I didn't realise it's been in Exeter for 98 years. They're in Northern Hay, and the reason I'm telling you the story, these people are going to come on here. I'm fighting their corner. Very, very quick, brief outline. They've outgrown their premises. They've got 450 to 500 people which attend the church. They were that big, they had to take over the old Range area, the Range shop down by the river, and they were using that for a year, but the contracts come to an end. So they found a place called Signal House in Cofton Road. It's fantastic. I went down there. I met all the people concerned, right? But they've got refused permission. And the reason they got refused permission is one law about loss of employment. This building used to have 100 people in it. It was a warehouse, but it's been converted into offices because a security computer system bought it. They've spent millions of pounds adapting it, right? And the actual warehouse is about, I'm not even 1/3, I would say 1/4. So they're on about bringing different things to the community, a CAF. They're on about where you can do meetings. It's not just going to be the church. They're on about SEND. They're on about looking after children. Now, that's my next project. So I need everybody's support on this. I will send it out on my Facebook page. They're going to come on this show. But right now, under bureaucracy. Yeah, bureaucracy, yeah. Right. The little box says no. So the little guy in the council, sorry, that's been a bit rude, actually. The officer in the council ticks the box no. So it's failed planning.
Computer says no.
Because of loss of employment. Right now, this building has been empty for over a year. There's only got 4 people in there right now. There's offices, there's desks, right, and they want to put 40 people in there. Now, the council said, no, we want 100 people in there. Marsh Barton is dying. We need to move with the times, right? People don't want to work in these places, right? We need to adapt. Marsh Barton has got more empty spaces now, and if we keep carrying on, and people like Exeter City Council and Devon County Council, by the way, stick to these stupid rules which are like 10, 20 years old, you need to change. And that's part of our mission.
Yeah, just a little bit of word about Rediscover Church. Although I don't go, we actually, the church that I worship in, Exeter Network Church, occupies their building near the Exeter Central train station. And so that's been sold, and Rediscover now, I guess, has money to buy a place, which is great. And Rediscover is a very, very successful church, as Neil mentioned. Thank you, Neil. And the format is amazing because when some people think about church, they think about a bunch of old folks like me. But that church has all ages, a lot of young people, and you know what? Their congregation is not all intellectuals. They're actually real people, that are have real issues and really love life. So if you want to check that out, go down to Rediscover Church. Yes, Neil, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, but it's not the church is only one part of it. It's what they're bringing to the community. We're building and building. Devon County Council and all these building firms are building all the houses. What they're offering is childcare. They're offering SEND. They're offering safe spaces. They're offering a cafeteria.
I did like the bit where they're actually offering places for startup firms to go to.
Yeah, startup firms, and but we're just starting the battle. I've wrote to Steve Race today, and I bet you. Actually, I was going to
Well,
say
the election's over, so I doubt you'll be that interested.
no. I wrote to Steve Race, and hopefully he doesn't say, "I'm sorry, I can't get into planning issues." It's about the community. It's not about planning. It's about the community and local people. Let's watch this space. Yeah, watch this.
Let's
space.
see how concerned Steve is now the elections are over.
Well, he doesn't have any. It's when you're dealing with politicians, they're integrated. It starts with Starmer, it goes down to Steve Race, and it's all the people are integrated. Devon County Labor. Oh, there aren't any labor councillors left, are there? But anyway, they're extra city councillors.
I will say he's probably got other
And
things on his mind.
all he has
as
to do
well.
is pick up the phone and call up Paul Knott.
No,
okay?
no,
Or-
I'm going to have to
or
stop you
Yvonne.
there. I'm going to stop you there. Paul Knott.
So,
you have to put it back to me now. Paul Knott, he's a real gentleman. I wrote him an email yesterday. He wrote me a lovely email back because he's part of the planning committee. He has to stay neutral, and I will return the email to you. And Paul, thank you ever so much. Congratulations, getting back in again. But I understand his position, so he has to stay neutral. All right, it's about the officers. The officers are going by the rules, but the rules need to be looked at, and you need flexibility. Right, if we don't have flexibility and we're rigid all the time, this city will fall to bits. Well, it's already fallen to bits. Let's see what the
But it
Greens
seems
can
like people can think out of the box sometimes when it suits and not others.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know.
I would have said there was one rule for one and one for somebody else.
do. You're on about a two-tier system.
Two-tier system.
So Neil, what's the timing behind what's happening there? When does the church need to know, and when do you think that the council will be able to look at this?
Yeah, so I went to a meeting on Monday. I've made a load of notes, given the notes and passed it. I've wrote some letters ready to go out, but as normal, I will always give the letters to the people to make sure they're happy. So then we're going to speak to the two officers, hopefully, who are involved. The one that says the computer says no, boom, failed. All right, we're going to invite people down, and anybody who wants to come down, it's going to be an open invitation down to the building where it will be. They will do a presentation, and we're going to invite Steve Race. We're going to invite all the councillors in Exeter, all right, Exeter and Devon County councillors, all right, to come, and let's see who actually takes up that, because it's not about the church; it's about what they can provide for the community. And this, I don't take sides with anybody, but when it adds to the community, remember what we are here for. It's not about climbing that slippery pole, which
It's about opportunity.
no,
really.
what's going on in fighting right now. It's about the people.
Okay, well let's talk about tonight's topic or topics, which are really interesting. You got your hand up again, Neil?
Yeah, no. First of all, Helen, I know you're watching, and all I can say is we're always here for you. And it put a tear in my eyes. And if you ever need any support, we're there. And I already told you that. Ian, talk about waste. Nat's already talk about it. He's diving deep into it, and it's a subject we can't talk about tonight. But he's found a lot of money going cycle routes.
Not just cycle routes.
Right, but we'll talk that another show.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, thanks very much, guys, for the updates. And again, we don't necessarily promote any particular party. We like to hear from everybody, really, even though you guys do belong to a political party, which I won't mention, a great party. And we're focused around local issues, and we're very concerned about Exeter because we believe that Exeter needs change. So that's why we have this as a title for the podcast. So, so along that theme, let's talk about what needs changing, and we have some very interesting topics to talk about, Neil.
Yeah, and I'm when I stop, I'm looking at who's online. Old Row Bone. I'll come back to you in a minute. Ian, always good. You're always our favourite. Helen, fantastic. Cameron, Jax, hi guys, I'm with you in spirit. Yeah, you're a legend yourself. Okay, so we're going to talk about, let's talk about the first one, parking chaos, right? And also the blocked roads and driveways. All right, that's the first subject we're going to discuss, Rob.
Okay, well, maybe just add something. I almost didn't get over here because somebody had parked in front of my driveway, okay? And I won't mention who that
That was my
Was.
future son-in-law.
We're having words with him.
But actually, on Queens Road, we have a really great WhatsApp group, and everybody gets along. You know, the Green Party signs, there's Reform signs, there's Labor signs. We all get along and pitch in to help. And one of the neighbors 3 doors down from me had a problem because there was a van parked right in front of her driveway. She couldn't get the kids out this morning. So, yeah.
That wasn't my
That shouldn't be
son-in-law, was it?
happening. That shouldn't be
Yeah,
happening.
Neil's
What'd you say,
son-in-law
Neil?
again.
It wasn't my son-in-law, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was someone else. I think maybe a tradesperson that was working on one of the houses down there. But, you know, it's just sort of an example of, you know, sometimes when there are no consequences for things, people kind of get into some bad habits, should we say.
Does it
what do you
just
think
come
about
down to
that?
just thinking about people a bit more and thinking about...
Well, we've got a subject tonight and we're going to stick to it. I just want to say hello to Marion. Yeah, really loved your post the other day, and we're talking. Camus, Jenny, yeah, good evening to you as well. And I want some comments on here. And Donna, actually, my wife, I thought she should be working. She's saying...
The dinner's in the bin.
Right, so let's go back to it. Let's put that parking madness
Right.
picture up.
Do you want me to start on this one?
Yeah.
Well, we learned something new actually this week, which is you can park in front of a driveway if there's no vehicle there and you're not blocking their access to get out. So I actually found this out by spending about half an hour waiting to get a reply on the phone. So there's no law to say you cannot do it unless you're blocking them in. And the police aren't that interested. And I was actually advised to take it up to civil court. I don't know why they
So
advised
just tell
me
the
that.
story. So where I live, I had a skip, and you can put a picture on me now, Bob.
It was blocking the secret bunker, wasn't it now?
So I had a skip, and the skip was going to get changed that morning, and this car had been parked there all the night before or all day, and I can understand the logic. You know, I have a double drive, and he thinks, well, nobody's going to park there because the skip's there. But I had a skip coming to replace 7 o'clock in the morning. So the vehicle was still there and 8, 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. So Tony, you ring him up, tell him
I
what you
did ring
said.
them up, yes.
Carry on, crack
well,
on.
that was really exciting, ringing up the police, because it took nearly half an hour, 40 minutes to get through to tell them that there was a problem. And she didn't seem that interested, to be honest. And it was very frustrating for me. And I kept my cool, but I was told to stop interrupting. She had to finish what she was going to say. And I said, well, I'm not really that interested. I just want the car moved. She did say, really, you should take it up with the civil court, which I said, oh, don't be so silly, or words to that effect. And she eventually got me to stop talking, and she actually explained that if they had a telephone number, they would get the person to move. They did move. Whether it was the telephone number, I don't know. I did try traffic enforcement as well, and after the police, and they just said, we'll ring the police.
Well,
And I did point out, Nat, that I've been on the police for 40 minutes waiting to get on.
There's an idea. We could all put telephone numbers in the windows of our car.
Can I say that was the 101
Yeah,
number
so
as well?
you're on the next one now. Let's talk about it.
Well, can I add to that, Tony, if you don't mind? Isn't that an example of no consequences? So, in other words, there really are no consequences if you
No,
park in front of
there's none
somebody's
at all, as
driveway.
long as there's
So,
no
therefore,
car way in the
people take the
driveway.
liberties of doing that, don't
Yeah,
they?
I could park in front of your house,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do
Yeah.
about it.
It used to be, you know, in my youth, or maybe even a few years ago, there used to be consequences for things that you did, you know,
Yes.
and increasingly there are not consequences.
No,
That's the problem.
people don't think, you know, and they park there, and if it's for 2 minutes, fair enough, but not like 2 days.
Okay,
Right.
Neil, you were going to introduce or talk
No,
about
no, I'm gonna talk about
another
it. So-
facet of that.
About what?
Another facet of that, were you?
No, so let's talk about the parking. So over the year, I've had many reports of people parking in different areas, parking across drives, parking on double lines. You know, you can read that now. Cars parked dangerous on corners. We'll show you pictures in a minute. Driveways blocking regularly, pavement obstruction. double yellow lines ignored, narrow roads become unsafe. Right, everything's a fast, I think, because I put a motion in. A motion was, can we use photographic evidence? Right, and what I mean by that is you take a picture on your phone, you send it to Devon County Council, right? They look at it, right? And they can actually go around and either give people a warning letter, because I'm not there to give people, you know what, like speed watch, you know, I think Lucy's really into speed watch. Yeah,
Oh,
good
yeah,
job.
well,
Well
is she
done,
now?
Lucy. Congratulations. Where you get a first warning, but if it carries on, you get fined, because it's not about the person parking the car. It's about the person with the pram, the person in the wheelchair, the person with the children who can't walk by it. And we'll show you some pictures in a minute regarding that. So there's a lot of disrespectful people parking in areas where they block drives. They put we'll talk about the Carol subjects here.
We'll do
Caravans.
that one in a minute.
Yeah, okay. But right now, there's no real law because nobody wants to do anything about it. So, you know, if I could be really discourage people or really annoy people, park anywhere you like, as long as you don't park on double lines. Block people's driveways. Yeah, park on the white line. There's nothing they can do about it. Crack on. Let's have social unrest. But why don't we just take a bit of respect to
But I was gonna
everybody?
say-
Just common courtesy to each other, isn't it? And
Park
think
in an
about-
area that's residential and see how long you take before you get a parking ticket.
Yeah, the white line in front. There's no law stopping them for white line. And I've got here. Helen, thank you. I have a drive. It costs thousands, and another lady's cost thousands. And we've asked for a white line. They used to do the white line if you're willing to pay for it, right? But now they don't do the white line. And if somebody blocks a drive, there's nothing they can do.
It's still got to be enforced, though, isn't it?
No, there's no
Whether
enforcement.
there's a
No,
white,
you can block a driveway, and that's it.
Yeah.
As long as there's not a car inside.
but whether there's a white line there or not.
Well,
My-
like Helen says, if it's a drop curb, by the way, a drop curb, they've changed the rules on that, and I'll come back to that. If it's a drop curb, you shouldn't be anywhere near that drop curb in my eyes, but if somebody blocked your drive, the law states there's nothing they can do.
Well, I've done-
It does if you want to get out.
Yes.
Well, I think when I've turned up for this, I've probably one night I did about 5 or 6 laps until I could park
And you
not
blocked
in front
someone's
of
drive,
somebody.
no?
No, I didn't. No, that's the reason why I went 5 times round the block. But you know,
Yeah. So
Well, I
then-
did
wasn't just
point
gonna
out to
dump
the
the
woman
car.
that it's affecting the business and costing us money, and she didn't seem to care. So, thank you very much, by the way, whoever you were.
And it's a real sore subject because there's other ladies and gentlemen who write to me and they say, what can you do about it? So I report it to the, what are they called now? I used to call them traffic wardens. It's
Enforcement officers,
Officers, all right? So I see them on a Sunday. They're very active around here on a Sunday.
Always on a
actually. And if
Sunday,
you're
yeah.
that far over the double line, you could get a ticket. But, you know, and that's how they are. And I call them the sneaky beakies.
well, I asked you the exact question first as soon as I got here tonight, didn't I?
What was the question?
Do I get half a fine if my back wheels are on the
You might- I
yellow
would
lines
laugh.
and not the
You probably-
front?
Right, so
probably will do.
going back to the subject. So then a lady, you know, we could, you know, I understand rules, but rules have got to adjust with the times. And I've got a lady who's got a parking ticket, and we're dealing with that because she went up to the cathedral to sing. She parked in the loading bay. The loading bay said no parking. This is like 8 o'clock at night. She gets a ticket, and her discussion, I wouldn't say argument, is nobody's using it at 8 o'clock at night. There should be some flexibility. But she's got and she's a pensioner. She hasn't got the money. She's trying to do an appeal, but knowing the computer says no, she won't get it.
Yeah. And if she loses the appeal, by the way, the fine goes up.
Does it?
It does, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that because I lost an appeal.
So if you
once.
appeal a fine and you lose,
yeah, that's your
it
risk.
increases by
Oh,
what?
no, I
what
don't
sort-
think that's correct.
I
you
don't
sure?
know.
No, I think that's incorrect, actually. We've got to be careful.
Or if you don't pay it within a certain amount of days.
Well,
I think that's
going,
probably
going
how it
back
works.
to it, Rob, let's
Yeah.
going back to it. That means put the camera on me. All right. And I'm
Not
not
me.
trying to hog the show. So a lot of people have actually, remember I put a motion in, Rob? I put a motion in. Rob's doing this. He said, hang on. I put a motion in that you should be allowed to use photographic evidence. And all this rubbish about it can be dotted. No, that's all rubbish because this is a digital footprint. It gives time, location, and everything. You can't over it. Right. The motion has been passed. It's come back down. But what's happened? I don't know. I'm going to follow it through. So I think there should be a deterrent. If you're blocking people's drives, you double lines and somebody takes a picture because a traffic warden takes a picture and then you get a ticket. Yeah, the police do it. You know, they're on about all this. So we need to be looking at enforcement in a better way. And realistically, a lady rung up and said, I'm being blocked. They said it'd take 2.5 weeks for the enforcement officer to come out. We're not on your beck and call. Not
Where
in
was he
them
coming
exact
from?
words.
London?
Oh, I don't know. But that's
He's
what
walking.
they said. You can see why residents are not happy.
Well, of course they are. Yeah.
Tony, Rob, you had something to say.
Well, I was just what came to my mind is that vehicle that was on Dunsford Road when we first started our first podcast.
yeah.
I think that had been there for about 5 years or something.
Well, the ironic thing was,
you know,
somebody bought it, and that's why it got moved.
oh my goodness.
Oh, you're on about
gracious.
the green ambulance.
Neil's
Yeah.
favourite ambulance had no steering wheel.
You know, I don't really understand how, you know, parking tickets can be issued so quickly. But something so obvious like that van, you know,
Never
who had
got one, did
no
it?
engine left in it or whatever. What's
Right, so
So
I'll just
something's
actually,
wrong.
if you're watching right now, at the top of Dunsford Hill, there was a old ambulance which would have been yellow but painted green. It had totally been ripped out. I got it to the police, they didn't want to know. I got it to Devon County Council, they didn't want to know. I got it to Exeter City Council, they didn't want to know. They said it's not MOT'd, it's not insured, but it's taxed. We've got to wait for the tax rung out. They only moved it because they were doing gas or waterworks up there. I just think the system is so broken. So broken.
But this brings us on to the next thing, caravans. Abandoned caravans.
Oh, another sore subject.
Never saw. So there are a couple of caravans in St Thomas which clearly are abandoned. I think there's one there, look, you know. It's abandoned. It's taking up a space.
So if we look at the pictures there, I've had to do the number plates. Hopefully the number plates can't be seen. But you know, this is somebody parking on the corner, double line. Now imagine somebody with a pram, somebody disabled, you know, anybody walking around that corner, all right? My favourite ambulance in the middle, that was
Oh,
parked
still
there for
there, like,
months.
yeah,
No,
there
it's
it
not
is,
there
look.
now. Months. It had no steering wheel, all been ripped
is that
out.
the one on Dunsford Road there?
Yeah, we finally got rid of it. Not because of my lack of trying,
Yeah.
because they actually had to build. But yeah, I do some roadworks there.
It's quite when you like go into this, it's quite serious. Like there's reasons why there's lines and yellow lines on next to pavements. Sometimes not just for the sake of parking there, but visibility for drivers going around corners. And I'm coming across it in my area in Cranbrook, people parking on pavements. But ultimately, what that car does is blocks the vision of anything coming towards you, or vice versa. So you end up.
But
It creates a big risk.
Can I bring a question here now? I think somewhere near the Swing Bridge there was an abandoned caravan, clearly abandoned. That got moved very quickly. Now, how come they can move that one quickly, but they can't move the two that we've asked? Because they are clearly abandoned. Although I think one you said had a set of golf clubs in.
Well, it's something be worth getting to the bottom at. I mean, the one in the lower middle there, I think, is the one on just around the corner on Sydney Street, isn't it?
Sydney Road.
Sydney Road, yeah. Thanks very much. And it's so comical because the door's ripped off. The door's ripped off, and in front of the it's worth going by, guys, by the way. Get a picture of your kids in front of it or something like that. It's just really idiotic. But there's a nice little sticker that says, warning, CCTV cameras in use. You know?
Well,
no CCTV cameras on that van.
Okay, so if you
ridiculous.
know Sydney Road, where Speedway Ground used to be, is a sharp corner, and the one at the bottom middle is wider than a car, right? It's fallen to bits. I tried to knock on the door. The lady was a little bit rude, but then I didn't have any ID, and I was polite though. I'm never rude, but this is been there for months. To me, it just takes up a parking space, but you know, legally he's allowed to do it. You know, I just think it's so wrong. And Helen says, you know, all caravans should be registered. So you look at the right one. I've been in there. I think I told you last time there's a good set of golf clubs in there.
Yeah.
All the plates are off. There's no registration plate. But this is a hazard. It's a hazard for cars. It's a hazard for people, children. You know, what do we pay? What do we pay all these people for? Just, you know, the police just to let it. You know, if you haven't paid your tax up the end of my road, you know, within 10 minutes, he's got a bloody clamp on it.
And Neil, that's only a few doors down from the house that has some sort of a large structure built in front of their garden, which is their garden's only about 12 feet deep, right? Clearly
That's
does
the
not.
shed, yeah.
Clearly is not compliant. So I mean, overall, it seems to me that you know, they can focus on the easy aspects where they can get money, you know, issuing tickets, boop, boop, boop. But they're not able to really do the ones that require some special
It's like
effort.
a two-tier
But
system, isn't it?
well, the way I'm going to present this is uptown, they've got loads of traffic wardens because that's easy money. And Helen actually
That's what I mean.
has come up with something here. She's got a white line at the front. And this is a law anyway, if somebody's blocking you from getting out of your property, they can be done. But if they block you from going in, there's nothing you can do about it. And I know that. So that's what it basically
Took
is.
40 minutes to find that out.
Okay. Right. And I've got Odrabone. He's talking about the the Great West Run in Exeter. And he's warning everybody, if you block my drive, I will block you in. So I'm a great believer is if you block somebody's drive and you've got enough vehicles, block them in and then block them in and get them and leave them, walk away.
Go away
That's-
for 2 weeks, have a holiday.
You know, I actually have to admit, years and years ago when I was a bit of a bad boy, I was in the army then, they blocked my mother's drive and my mother had to go to hospital. So I put a bit of rope on the bottom of the wheel and I dragged the vehicle into the road and I drove off to the army. All right, I don't know what happened. I did put a cone in the road.
Is that one of
I'm
these
not
cars
saying you can
is
do
that
that
one of,
because-
it might be one of these cars you see crabbing down the road.
No, you've
now.
got to be careful because I'm not telling anybody to break the law, but
No.
this was emergency. The police weren't bothered, so I just put a rope, shoved it in the road and drove
But
off.
that's the more serious side of it. It is, you know, it can affect somebody's life. Again,
I
you
shouldn't
know,
have
we
said
talked
that,
about
actually, shouldn't I?
talked about.
Now, I think the 20-year rule comes in there.
Well,
Maybe we're going off a little bit off piece, but I think it's a good conversation.
And actually
and,
leading on to the next one, then
well,
not yet.
parking
So what's the
parking
moral-
in general in
so what's the
Exeter,
moral
I'm
of the
guessing.
story? What's the moral of the story?
Please be considerate, a bit more
Everybody.
considerate regards people's properties.
Okay, thanks a bunch.
Yeah,
So,
stop thinking of yourselves.
Okay,
let me say a couple things, and
Yes,
then we can go one at a time, guys, because we're a team, right? Okay, thanks. Yeah, I go to Wanford Sports Center to play pickleball. You know, I'm not...
No pickleball.
Yeah, as everybody knows probably. But go up to Wanford Sports Center sometime. It's really interesting because a few weeks ago they had 8 caravans there. Then they got the council involved and they were gone within a week. Great, thanks. And then the next flipping day there were 3 caravans there. And I went up there this morning. There are 2 caravans there. So that's what I mean about consequences. It used to be there are consequences for things, but increasingly it doesn't seem to be. And they focus on the easy things like the parking tickets, but they don't really have consequences for the things that matter to residents. What do you think about that, Neil?
yeah, no, I agree, and we've got to be careful here because down in Marsh Barton we've got caravans down there who basically live down there, and you know they're very respectful to me when I went and spoke to them, so I can't distinguish between them. But also there's businesses down there who pay a lot of business rates, and it stops the lorries coming in, and you know. So I'm in the middle here. I think, you know, these people got somewhere that they need somewhere to live, and if they decide to live in a caravan, so be it. You know, but the business people pay all this money and they're not happy. So, you know, what do we do? Where do we compromise? Because it's all about compromise in my world.
When
How does
reality,
that work then? How does that work then? Because I heard a story this week about somebody living on a riverboat on the Thames, was it?
Oh,
And but
No,
he had
don't
to pay,
flip, don't flip.
They had to pay council tax for that. So if you're living in a caravan, surely your council tax is still due. Isn't
Rob,
it?
pull us back online.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess in summary, things have gone to pot, really, haven't they? At least some things have. Still a great city. I love living down here, and but some of the things have gone to pot, and I kind of segueing into definition of a pot, which might be toilet. So, Nat, can you tell us about
Oh, we
our
didn't do
toilets
car
in the
parks.
local area? And that doesn't
we
mean that
didn't
you
do
can go
car
take a
parks
wee.
or not? We didn't do car parks there, Rob.
Car parks.
No, we'll come back to that. Toilets.
All right, toilets. Do you want me to
Toilets.
start off on this one?
I I mean, if you can
I've got
find
it.
one, if
Oh,
you can
no,
fiin an open
I've
one,
got to
Tony,
say
then
now, one
good
of
luck.
the things that I do get messages about is the lack of toilets. So I got told a while ago by a senior person in Exeter City, it costs 180,000 to keep the toilets open, which is fair enough. And he said to me, "Tell me where I get the money." Well, I don't think it's controversial, but I put it on my Facebook again today. We've got 25,000 students. Charge them some money to live in this city. They use the utilities. You want money, you've got to find a revenue stream, and that is a revenue stream. I think Ian came up with a brilliant solution. Just like the tourist tax, charge them £100. £100 a year, that's £2.5 million.
I would have charged them £5
Absolutely, that's a great
£5
idea.
a week, £100
Great
a
idea,
year. But
Ian.
I think it's a great idea. I've had criticism by what I've put, but as I pointed out on my Facebook, we need these funds. You can't keep shutting down things and selling your assets, because you'll only be moaning about that then.
Well,
Anyway,
Tony,
that's I've got that vent out.
My
right?
logic is this, okay? My logic is the toilets, there are toilets that were there, and some are still there, right? And so they were functioning years gone by. So what happened to that service? Why is not the money not there?
Because they saved a paltry 180,000. But I could look on the flip side, and I know it's all ring fence money. They can find money for other projects.
What do you mean by 180,000?
180,000 is what it cost to open and maintain those toilets. I got told this by a high up official in Exeter City Council, but he also did say, "Tell me where to find the money," and
Okay,
I told him.
Now Neil's got his hand up. He's really itching.
No, I've said
itching,
my
but,
bit. Now. I've
let me ask
vented
you
my
a
bit
question,
on that
Tony,
one.
if you don't
Right,
mind.
so-
let me just ask you a question, Tony. So that 180,000 was in the budget, and it was spent in years gone by, right? So I don't understand. If it's in the budget, then they should be performing the service.
Well,
Isn't
they're
that good logic?
saying that's how much money it costs to keep the toilets open, and they're not prepared to spend that money to keep toilets open. They're not worried about you, me, or anybody else on
Thank you.
whether or not they need to use these things.
Okay.
They just want to save 180,000.
Thanks very much. Neil, over to you, sir.
Okay, we're going a little bit backwards here, so bear with me because I'm reading the messages. I've got a message here, and I can't tell you who said it. Hey, you're looking very handsome tonight, and they're not talking about me; they're talking about you.
Is this Nat again, is it?
Yeah.
Or Rob?
I haven't shaved tonight either.
No,
Thank you, Bex.
Right, so
wanna say
yeah,
you.
Ian, thumbs up. Really appreciate that. Going back to the car parks, need more car parks that don't cost an arm and a leg. Instead, I hear Mary Archers is being turned into housing, risking Roman ruins below. We'll come back to the car parks in a minute. All right.
Good.
Let's talk about the toilets again. So I've had the reason we brought toilets up is somebody sent me this. They go shopping, or did go into the St. Thomas shopping centre, where there's
Marks and
Next.
Spencer's.
Yeah, Marks Spencer Next.
Yeah.
Right, the toilets at the side, which is owned by the railway, that's closed, as you can see on the left. All right, around the corner, they're selling the buildings. They're selling all these toilets. Now, Marks and Spencer's closed their toilet. Now, I'm 61 years old. If I need to go toilet, I need to go toilet. That's it. But imagine somebody slightly older who needs to go toilet. Well, where do they go toilet? Where?
What was the saying? Not very long. Not every disability can be seen, and some people have issues, bladder issues, stuff like that. That they, I find it really hard to think that somebody can shut all these public facilities and totally not seem to not care about the people that use the shops, use the city for, it's the beating heart of the city, isn't it?
Right, so we're, St. Thomas is the outskirts. We'll talk about this for a minute, and we'll go into the heart. So we're closing toilets. Now, I know we've got the Riverside toilets. We got, what's the pizza place called? They might have toilets.
Burger King?
I've just had Marion said about the pub, but it's quite embarrassing when you say, "Oh, excuse me, I'm going into the pub. I don't want to drink, but can I use your toilet, please?" Now they could say yes or no, and if you're dying for a wee, it's
not really fair on those businesses.
So this person who wrote to me, male or female, has said, "I'm not shopping there anymore."
And they're like, those little like Carrick Street and places like that, they draw people into the city. You know, there's
Yeah.
some really lovely businesses up through those roads. Really useful. You know, I Farmer's Friend, great shop. You know, and who hasn't been in there? Unless they haven't
you've
stood
also
in
got to
mud
look
before.
at the people in the morning walking their pets,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I did get messages from them saying we have to walk different routes because, quite simply, there aren't any toilets.
So, you know, and Marion, really appreciate this. So toilets are closed, but the pub landlord's toilets are basically free, costing them money. So they're opening their doors for us. You know, we're paying our council tax. We're expecting, it's everybody's right to have a wee somewhere, you know, and we pay all this money. So you should be able to go to a public toilets.
And
now their excuse in that is, well, we've got people using drugs in there. We've got people like that. That's just
All right.
camouflage.
But Devon County Council are trying to promote active travel, aren't they, across our county, right? So they want people to get out and about, walking, cycling, whatever, families out. You know, the mums with young kids, you know, you need
Oh, and
these
grandfathers.
facilities.
I'm a
And,
grandfather.
you know, just such a wide range of people use them. And ultimately, the more people use them, which I'm sure they would, as time goes on and people get out and about on their feet and whatnot, you're going to drive those people, i.e. druggies and all those types of thing, out of it. And they'll go off and take their drugs in different places.
So I've got a letter, an email. Jenny, I bet they're spending more than 180k on trying to fight CO2, the gas of life. I've got Robone. Plus, they don't care about the disabled. How are they going to use the loose?
Yeah. So can
I
I come?
think-
Can I come onto that?
Do you know what? If I get caught short and I wee myself, I'd be embarrassed
I think
because
right,
so I wouldn't go to the shop.
going back to that comment there,
Yeah.
and it relates to my area more than Exeter, but it's still relevant. A government body has given the National Trust up to £720,000.
You wanted to get that in tonight.
Yeah, for
bicycles.
no, this is for the rewilding of the area. I'm sorry. Let's look at the problems that people face every day first. £720,000.
Can I
It's
quickly
just-
say?
Go ahead, Tony.
Now, I'll quickly say that when the local elections were on, all the local councillors made such fantastic promises. Steve Race made fantastic promises. They haven't materialised. Our toilets aren't going to
No.
be
He's
open.
giving 10 million to Whipton
Well, that won't open our toilets, will it?
over 5 years, 10 years. I can't remember.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Well, if you go down, maybe one solution is if you go down to Budley Salterton, they
way to
just
go for a
renovated
wee,
their
though.
toilets.
Long
Yeah,
way to go.
if you go to the toilets there, they've this Wi-Fi thing. You know, anyway, it's I don't know what the fee is yet, but I went down there about a week ago, and you tap your phone on there, and or your credit card or whatever, you can get in the loo. So in other words, you pay to go to the loo, and you can get in, and they're very nice, actually, really good. So that might
But
be
not
one
everybody
solution,
has
Tony.
the technology.
Neil,
like
over
that.
to you.
Yeah, Marion, really good. I used the ladies in St. Thomas all the time, or she did. I have to pay 20p uptown and spend a penny. I would happily pay that. So what they're saying is, yeah, if I had to need, whatever, wee, poo, whatever, I'm happy to pay 20p, so they will get their money. But no, the answer is close the door, don't worry about it.
And sell off them as pizza
blame it
places
that
and
people
that.
are going to do, and they're trying to sell it. These buildings have been
They're
empty
all for sale.
Yeah, I
Somebody
just
could
think,
buy
Well,
it and
they-
open it up as a toilet.
Didn't they
a good
try
idea.
the toilets
Just a
in behind
suggestion.
what was
actually,
Dingles?
Tony, that's not a bad idea.
Buy
actually.
it and then open up the doors and say, look, it's a toilet. Look.
Anybody want to come into a
wanna go halves on a
business
toilet, anybody?
toilets? We'll buy the toilets, charge everybody 20p, and the profit goes back into maintaining the toilets.
But does that work? Because the toilet, I don't think the toilets still exist behind Dingles, do they?
Well, they're easy to put a toilet in.
But that went to pay as you go, didn't it?
I don't know.
In behind Dingles, there was one you used to
No,
walk
it's still
down the
there.
steps.
Oh,
It's
no,
still
that's
is
still
it?
there.
Is
It's
that pay?
underground like our bunker.
Yeah, is that pay as you go?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
paid.
it's underground like our bunker.
Pay as you.
Okay, let's bring it back a little bit
Right.
because I did fast
have
forward.
car
Let's
parks
let's
in
do a
there.
little rewind back here to. Did you want to talk about antisocial behavior? Is that what the
I think we
topic
should
was?
talk about car
Okay,
parks as
so
well, but,
antisocial behaviour. When somebody parks in front of your drive, somebody parks across and they park on... It just annoys people. And I don't understand where... we all live in the city. We're all one family. And people don't... they park up. They must know they're parking there. They must know it's going to be anti. And this is where you get that discontent. You just, everybody needs to think. The caravan has annoyed everybody, but it's going to stay because there's no law. This is the middle one at the bottom. There's no law, says you can move it. The one on what's the road called?
Buddle Lane.
Buddle Lane. It's a hazard, but nobody
You
will
can
move it.
push.
So
It's just, they're not interested.
No,
nobody.
Roger Haynes been brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, but basically he said, I've spoke to this, I've spoke to that, but they won't do it. Do you know what? I just
somebody
think,
owns that one
Why
in
are we
Sydney
paying
Road.
all these people, these officers, and all they do is they look at the rules and they can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. Oh, that's going to open another can of worms for me as well. We won't, yeah. So there's a lot of subjects the next few weeks we're going to discuss. We're looking at Exeter City Council, where nobody comes into work. They're all at home. Planning. Remember the shirts I'm on about. You can only get them Monday, Wednesday and Friday.
We should
from
get an
1
update
o'clock
on the shed
onwards.
as well in Orpington.
So the
really.
question is, what are they doing in between them days? Or they just stamping the book and refusing people? I don't know. Yes, Rob, go on. You want to talk.
Well, I'm not sure I did, but I will talk. I was just daydreaming while you guys were talking, and what I was thinking about is the Mary Arches car park in the city there. Unfortunately, public sector doesn't really allocate enough money for maintenance, and that went to the dogs years ago. And I took a shortcut to go to Network Church one evening and had the unfortunate incident of going through that car park, and it was a urine smell and weed.
Well, now you know where the
marijuana
toilets are.
all through that structure, and you should really have a security guard there, and it should be properly maintained. If you
that
don't
go-
have security over your asset, like your house, Tony, and it'll go to
But
pot,
this
right?
is where another issue comes up with car parks. So you've got Cathedral Yard. They're going to knock that down. All right, they're going to knock it down because it's now unsafe. That's one car park gone. Mary Arches, that's going. We
Yeah, but how
know
much
that.
money did that cost to build?
Exactly. You've got Magdalen Road car park. That one's going. And then they have the cheek to say, why is the city dying?
No, let's go back to that because we're a little bit off subject. So they're going to sell these or demolish the car parks, which we have paid for. They've not maintained it. It's like Clifton Hill Sports Centre. They had a hole in the roof. They wanted it to deteriorate. They didn't repair it, which they could have. I'm a builder. I know what I'm talking about. Easy to repair. Right? Or they got fantastic quotes, which cost loads of money. They knocked it down. So there's a hidden agenda here. All right. What's the... the bikes are trying, there's a lot of money being spent, right? But not on trying to keep the city alive. And it's about keeping the businesses alive. If you walk uptown now, how many empty shops is there?
Well, they just keep coming, don't they? And I mean, every day you read in the paper empty shops, businesses going bust. And it's happening in Exeter. I mean, we were a copycat town, is it? I can't remember now because our high street had all the usual high-end, all the usual shops. Look at it now, look. They're all shutting down.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tony. And Neil's got his hand
Yeah,
up.
there's a couple of things. Thank you, Old Robone. Right. Okay, we're talking about Northbrook swimming pool, and we'll be quite straight. You're not going to like the answer on this, but we're always straight. Tony, do you want to give him the answer on Northbrook?
Well, the simple answer is, again, I've got told, Exeter City never actually owned Northbrook swimming pool. It was owned by the Northbrook Community Group, is it? But essentially, Exeter City took it on many years ago when I think it was Chester Long was mayor. Took it on many years ago and said, we'll fund it because it would have shut down then.
What, fund the maintenance?
But they had
you mean?
once that was up, they had no responsibility to maintain it and no reason to really because obviously they'd spent their money on something else.
So let's just emphasise that Exeter City Council, and I'm defending them now, did not own that building. All right, so I've just lost all the things, however that goes. All right, so they never owned it. So we'll put that to bed. Another one was said about a younger or older generation don't have the facilities to do tap on their phones.
Well, I said that.
Yeah.
You know, and I totally understand
I
that.
don't have it.
No,
That's a very good point.
Yeah, so we have to cater for everybody.
20 pence.
Well, doesn't all, yeah, but all this, you know, when you think about your public car parks, all that's
Well, yeah, the
none of
pay-as-you-go
that's
machines
cash.
are going away, aren't
Yeah, or hardly any of them are cash anymore. It's turning away from, you know, you're putting off people from using your high street.
Okay, so
I've just lost one of my programs.
what about
so bear with me.
what's the solution here? I think part of the solution is to make sure that councillors
Right.
hold the council to accountability.
One of the solutions is for Exeter City to find that money, find the 180,000. They can find money for other projects. They're selling places left and right, selling their assets. Now, I don't know where that money goes to, but surely 180,000, the bigger picture there for people so they can actually have a quality of life and
Is that-
actually go places.
Is that to main all the toilets or just one
That's
toilet?
to maintain all the toilets in Exeter.
Oh, I'd like that contract.
Well, no,
I
that's
can.
to get them open and keep them running.
Okay, Neil, can you sort of summarize what we've been talking about here, please?
Right, so what we've summarised basically is over the year as councillors, we've had loads of emails about inconsiderate parking. We've had loads of emails about car parks. I could go on to how the city is dying. We'll talk about that quickly. Okay, and we're talking about toilets. Now, every person, male, female, child, whatever, needs to go to the toilet. Now, I had a very bad parachute accident years and years ago, and I nearly severed my spine. So when I need to go toilet, I need to go toilet. So I have to plan my day to go out. So if I'm going somewhere and there's no toilet facilities, then I'm not going to go there. So if you put it in the bigger picture, you know, we need the city to thrive.
Yeah.
Would you say it's thriving? You've got, you know, car parking fees going up. They're closing car parks. They're trying to, you know, all these different cycle routes in the city, you know, but the people can't cycle into the city all the time. They need to buy goods. And if you look at the city right now, we're dying. Marsh Barton, I'm going back to that church. I've just been told I've only got a minute left. Going back to that church, right? We need to evolve with the times. Now, some of the rules or some of these policies, and this is Devon County Council as well, you know, permit parking, I've been pushed back. Somebody lives in St. Thomas. Jack, thank you for the email. That's Jack, the Green Party, wrote to me, and I'm pushing you know, the guy who's got there, he's asking for a permit. But the policy says no. We've got to change with the times. You know, these officers are doing their job. I'm not going to dismiss them, but the policies need to be looked at every year.
They have to be updated.
Yeah, that's, you know, I'm not whinging here. Go on. Too much.
Okay, Neil, can I sort of close things down with your permission, please? Because we're reaching the magic hour tonight, and people have things planned. So this episode 46, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is a podcast about local events, local concerns. We want to hear from you. Email Neil or Tony or Nat. Text us any way you can or any way you want. We'd really appreciate it. And although some of the solutions are complicated sometimes, and they don't have answers right away for it, they're on the case. And again, we should be talking about these things, and that's what the purpose of this podcast is, right? So just a closing comment, please, Neil, and then we'll
I think
close
Nat
down,
wants to
please.
say so.
Go ahead, Nat. Quick one.
I just want to say good evening to my nephew, Will, because I already watched the pod last week with Tina, his mum. So, right, Will.
Thank you very much. And Tony, how about you?
Well, as usual, send in the messages. We'll do our best to help anybody out. We do answer emails, unlike some of the other local councillors who seem to be a bit shy on it.
Neil?
Right. All I'm going to say is remember, this is about you guys. It's about you telling us what you need. Send us your emails. We're not going to say we can get every problem sorted out, but we will. It's about working for the community.
We can
guys.
talk about it, can't we?
Yeah, working for the community. Yeah. And if we can get officers to hold them to account, and how many times I've heard that, there's a lot of people getting some really big wage packets, right? But all they say is they can't do it because the book says or the computer says no.
No.
So we need you. We need you here on the show. We need your input. We need you sat in that chair. There's been some break. It's very relaxing in the bunker, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right?
Secret bunker now.
So from now on, please write to us. Let us know what you want to do. We've got a couple of interesting shows ahead. You know, Peter's coming on next week. Then we're going to get this other lady coming on. We've got the church coming on. So there's a lot, but there's space for everybody.
It's about feeling part of your community, isn't it? Have your say, just as we said at the beginning of the show every week. Have your say. It's your time to ask your questions.
Like Rob's got to go. He's got a date.
Okay. Sorry, Rob. We're not hanging it out for your
No,
sake.
thanks a lot. Anybody want to come to St. Michael's in Alphington, you'll see me play the organ tonight, okay? But anyway, a little plug for the church. But thank you for watching this episode 46. And let me give a plug for YouTube, okay? Hunt down Neil Stevens on YouTube and hit the subscribe button and hit the notify button so that you get notified in advance of every one of these podcasts, okay? And thanks so much for watching tonight. We really enjoy this podcast, and I hope you do too.
Respect the place that you call